Hi Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me here at Global IP Exchange Europe and giving your insights on the legal industry. So my first question would be, if you were to sum up your brand protection trademark strategy in one sentence, what would it be?
One sentence, it would be to do what I can efficiently, cost effectively, to make sure that my clients can do what they need to do to generate revenue and to expand on the brand and the brand's legacy.
How do you see IP sector changing in the next 2 to 3 years, and what do you see to be the biggest challenges facing the sector?
It's become clear that the impact of communications and information dissemination on social media, it's only going to increase. It's not going to decrease in any measurable way. And so from a brand protection standpoint, being able to keep up with what people are saying and how they're saying it will be important, but at the same time incredibly daunting because of the sheer number of platforms and users that are out there. On top of that, we're now aware that people are more easily manipulating content that we've put out on social media or on the internet for their own purposes. And being able to find it, figure out who did it, figure out a way to stop it, I don't know what that's going to look like over the next few years. I think the only thing we can really do is to educate our consuming public that this is a problem, to acknowledge that it's a problem, and then to offer, the best solutions we have in the moment. But to the extent that anyone can innovate a way to deal with that aspect of brand misuse, I'd love to hear it.
What can brand protection and trademark departments from technology companies do to better promote technological innovation on a global scale that benefits commerce and consumers?
I think if brand protection companies can figure out a way to detect, at least in the short term, information that's fake, that's been manipulated, that's been somehow modified in a way to create a sense of distrust in the origins of that information. I think if brand protection companies can do that, that would be a giant step. Detecting it is one thing, but then figuring out who's actually doing it, that's always going to be the harder issue, particularly with things online, because once people are behind the screen, you have no way of necessarily figuring out where they are, if they're even in the country where you're in. And so that would be the next step for these companies to figure out, what to do.
What strategies have worked for you in detecting the infringements in the evolving digital landscape?
In-house, we'll do sweeps every once in a while. So periodically, myself and members of my team, we will just go to the social media platforms that we tend to use more often than not, and just look for infringing content or misuse of our logos or our brand names. And then we rely heavily on our internal business folks to report back on things that they're seeing, because what they see on the ground is different from what I see sitting in legal. And so we will prioritize information that our in-house clients bring to us. And then beyond that, I actively encourage our local counsel to report back to us things that they see so that we can act on it. We are in the process of looking at the services that are offered by various brand protection companies. But, I'm kind of waiting for the technology where they're detecting the things that are more important to me, and I just haven't quite seen that yet.
At the Global IP Exchange, you're speaking about cultural transformation. Can you share some tips with our network?
A top tip would be to very aggressively and vocally acknowledge that there is a problem online with fake information. To acknowledge that it's a problem, that probably somebody's out there are doing this, some for fun. I think there are people out there who do this just for fun and just to goad, the consuming public into reacting in some way. And I think some people have nefarious intents and goals behind it. But I'm not feeling like we are, as a community, as a society, acknowledging it vocally enough. And so that's one part of it, to acknowledge it. And then, there's always this discussion of, well, we should be more media literate and we should take more responsibility for the information we're consuming. But that's not easy either. It's a lot easier just to take in the information and then walk away with it. And I do think it would help if, as a community, we were a little bit more conscious about exploring and investigating the sources of the information that we're consuming before we spread misinformation.
Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us here at the Global IP Exchange and sharing your insights with us. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you.
Jennifer.